In the pursuit of success, many are distracted by the achievements of others. They compare themselves to their peers, their colleagues, their neighbors, and they wonder why they haven't reached the same heights. They scroll through social media, they see the perfect lives of others, and they feel like they're falling behind. But this is not the path to success. The path to success begins with focusing on yourself. It begins with focusing on your journey, your growth, your purpose. Every moment spent comparing yourself to someone else is a moment wasted, because comparison breeds distraction, and distraction leads you away from your own path. This is the first shift you must make. Stop looking outward. Stop seeking validation from others. Stop measuring your worth by their standards. Focus on yourself. Focus on your vision. Focus on the work that will move you forward, not on the achievements of those around you. When you focus on others, you dilute your own power. Your energy is scattered. Your thoughts are divided. But when you focus on yourself, on your own growth, you become unstoppable. You begin to create a life that is uniquely yours, a life that is not defined by the success of others, but by your own actions, your own decisions, your own progress. This is the essence of Stoic philosophy: to focus on what you can control, yourself, to stop seeking approval from others, to stop comparing your timeline with theirs, and to start showing up for your own life. Every time you look sideways, you give away a piece of your power. You let your attention drift, and you lose sight of what matters most, your own growth. But when you turn inward, when you reclaim your focus, you create direction, you create purpose, you move forward with clarity and intention. Imagine that you are standing at the very center of your own universe. Everything that happens around you, every goal you set, every vision you hold, begins with you. This is not a metaphor. This is a truth. Perhaps the most powerful truth you will ever come to understand. Your life will unfold exactly as you command it, if only you first command it within your own mind. The world will not define your success. Your internal clarity will. The great achievers in history, the ones who changed the world, all began their journeys not with resources, not with connections, not with luck. They began with a purpose. They began with a vision, and most importantly, they believed in their own potential. Andrew Carnegie, a man born into poverty, started with nothing. He had no wealth, no family connections, and no formal education. But what he had was a vision. He had an unwavering belief in himself, in his ability to create his future, in his ability to shape his destiny. Mr. Carnegie didn't waste time comparing himself to others. He didn't envy the success of those around him. Instead, he focused on his own path. He worked tirelessly to master himself, to sharpen his skills, to build his knowledge. And when he planted his feet at the center of his universe, when he took control of his own mind, the world bent to meet his will. This is the lesson you must embrace. Stop looking sideways. Your neighbor's success has nothing to do with your potential. The promotions of your colleagues, the accolades earned by your friends, these are not your compass. You are not here to live someone else's dream. You are here to awaken your own. Every time you compare your progress to someone else's, you give away a piece of your power. You shift the center of your universe to a place outside yourself, and once your focus leaves your inner world, your thoughts become scattered, your actions become reactive, and your results become inconsistent. The first step to success is to reclaim the throne of your own mind. You must believe with absolute conviction that your ideas, your values, and your ambitions matter. They matter more than opinions, more than current results, more than any fear or doubt you carry. When you start to operate from this center, life stops happening to you. It begins happening for you. Your thoughts gain clarity, your vision sharpens, your actions align with purpose, and the universe begins to respond. All great change begins within. All success is first created in the invisible realm of thought. Before the skyscraper rises, the blueprint is drafted. Before the fortune is made, the vision is formed. Before the man becomes powerful, he becomes disciplined in thought. Your focus is your power. The way you direct your attention is the key to shaping your life. The distractions of the world will always try to pull you away, but the Stoic knows that true strength comes from within. It comes from within your mind, your thoughts, your actions. The moment you give away your attention, you give away your power. When you focus on others, when you compare your journey to theirs, you become lost in a race that isn't yours to run. The Stoic philosophy teaches us to stop looking outside for answers. It urges us to turn inward, to cultivate a life that is defined not by the world's standards, but by our own inner wisdom. When we stop seeking validation, when we stop measuring our success by the standards of others, we are free to pursue our own unique path. Imagine living each day knowing that you are exactly where you need to be. Imagine moving forward with confidence, not because of external approval, but because you trust in your own process. This is the power that comes when you focus on yourself. Your journey will not look like anyone else's, and that is exactly how it should be. We are all unique, with our own dreams, our own challenges, our own path. And it is only when we focus on our own path, when we truly accept who we are, that we begin to see success. Success is not about chasing someone else's vision. It is about discovering your own. It is about finding what truly matters to you and pursuing that with everything you have. It is about developing yourself into the person who naturally attracts success, not because of luck, not because of external validation, but because you have aligned yourself with your true purpose. When you focus on yourself, you stop wasting energy on things that don't matter. You stop wasting time on comparisons. You stop comparing your progress to someone else's, because you know that your journey is unique. Your path will unfold in its own time, and the only thing you need to do is trust in the process. The Stoic does not seek approval. They do not seek the approval of the world, the praise of others, the recognition of society. They do not need to be acknowledged, because they know that true fulfillment comes from within. They live in accordance with their values, not in accordance with the expectations of others. This is where true peace lies. It lies in focusing on what you can control. It lies in focusing on yourself, on your own growth, on your own discipline. It lies in becoming the best version of yourself, not because you want to impress others, but because it is who you are meant to be. Every action you take, every decision you make, every thought you think, is a reflection of who you are becoming. And when you align your actions with your deepest values, you will find that success follows naturally. This is the way of the Stoic. A life lived not in comparison, not in the pursuit of external approval, but in the pursuit of self-mastery. A life lived with intention, with purpose, and with clarity. So let go of the need to compare yourself to others. Let go of the need for external validation. Let go of the pressure to measure up. Focus on yourself. Focus on your own growth. Focus on becoming the person you are meant to be. Because when you focus on yourself, when you invest in your own development, success will not be far behind. Not because the world will recognize it, but because you will feel it within yourself. And that is the greatest form of success, living in alignment with your true self, with your purpose, and with your values. The power to change your life lies not in what others do, but in how you choose to respond to it. This is the foundation of Stoic philosophy. It is not about controlling the external world, but about mastering your own inner world. You cannot control the events around you. You cannot control the actions of others. You cannot control the things that happen in life, but you can control your thoughts, your emotions, your responses. The Stoic understands this deeply. They understand that the only true power lies in their ability to respond to life with intention, with wisdom, and with clarity. This is what separates the Stoic from others. The world may throw challenges at them. The world may throw setbacks in their way, but the Stoic remains steady. They do not react in anger. They do not react in fear. They do not let the external world shake their inner peace. The Stoic creates their own peace, not by avoiding challenges, but by facing them with clarity and purpose. They know that life is not about avoiding discomfort, but about learning how to deal with discomfort with grace and strength. When you focus on controlling your own responses, you stop being a victim of the world. You stop allowing external circumstances to dictate your emotions, your mood, your energy. You take back your power. This is not about being indifferent to the world. This is about not letting the world control you. You do not need to react to everything. You do not need to be swept away by the tides of emotion. You do not need to be dragged into the drama that the world creates. The Stoic responds with purpose. They respond with thought. They respond with clarity. They respond with self-control. They respond not because they are driven by emotion, but because they have chosen how to respond. This is the power of Stoic philosophy. It is the power of self-control. It is the power of emotional discipline. It is the power to remain grounded, even when everything around you is in chaos. The Stoic knows that their happiness does not depend on the world. It depends on how they choose to perceive the world. It depends on how they choose to react to the world. When you stop relying on the external world to make you happy, you begin to realize that happiness is a choice. It is a choice to focus on what you can control. It is a choice to respond to life with wisdom. It is a choice to remain true to yourself, even when the world challenges you. And this is the path to true freedom. The freedom to live your life according to your own values. The freedom to be unaffected by the judgments and opinions of others. The freedom to act with clarity, even when everything around you is uncertain. This is the freedom that Stoic philosophy offers. The freedom to live with purpose. The freedom to respond to life with grace. The freedom to choose your own path, no matter what the world throws at you. So, ask yourself, how can I respond to this situation with wisdom? How can I maintain my inner peace in the face of adversity? How can I align my actions with my values, even when the world is trying to pull me off course? The answers are within you. And when you choose to live in alignment with your true self, success will follow, not because of what others think, but because of who you are becoming. There is a fundamental truth that many overlook. The external world will always try to control you, to define your worth, to dictate your actions. But the Stoic knows that true freedom comes from within. The Stoic does not seek to control others. They seek only to control themselves. This is the essence of Stoic philosophy. The recognition that the only true power we possess is the power to govern our own minds. The world is full of distractions, of influences that pull you in every direction. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone has advice. Everyone has something to say about how you should live your life. But the Stoic knows that their path is their own. They do not need to conform to the expectations of others. They do not need to follow the crowd. They follow their own reason, their own values, their own inner guidance. The Stoic is not moved by praise or criticism, by flattery or condemnation. They are moved only by the knowledge of what is right and what is true. They live according to their own principles, not according to the whims of the world. When you live this way, when you stop seeking validation from others, when you stop allowing the world to dictate your choices, you reclaim your power. You take back control of your life. You stop being a slave to external approval. You stop being controlled by the opinions of others. This is the path to true inner peace. The peace that comes from knowing you are living in accordance with your values, not because the world says it's right, but because you know it is right. The Stoic is not interested in external rewards. They do not need accolades or recognition to feel validated. They do not need the approval of others to feel worthy. Their worth comes from within. Their validation comes from living a life of integrity, from knowing that they are doing the right thing, not for others, but for themselves. And when you live this way, when you are true to yourself, when you act according to your own principles, you will find that the approval of others becomes irrelevant. You will find that the need to prove yourself fades away, and you will find that true success comes not from what you achieve, but from who you become. This is the heart of Stoic philosophy, to cultivate strength from within to find peace in the midst of chaos, to remain true to your values. No matter what the world throws at you, you will face challenges, you will face obstacles, you will face people who try to pull you off course. But the Stoic remain steady. They do not let the world shake them. They stay grounded in their own truth. This is not about avoiding difficulty. It is about mastering it. It is about facing every challenge with confidence, with clarity, and with courage. And when you learn to master yourself, when you learn to control your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, you will find that nothing in the external world has the power to disturb your peace. No opinion, no judgment, no obstacle can take away the inner strength you've built. So ask yourself, what do I allow to control me? What do I let dictate my actions? And how can I reclaim my power? The answers are within you, and the moment you stop looking outside yourself for approval, the moment you stop letting the world shape your thoughts and actions, you will find true freedom. You will find the power to live life on your terms. This is the way of the Stoic, a life of discipline, a life of integrity, a life of purpose. And when you live this way, success will follow, not because of external approval, but because you have aligned yourself with your highest values. One of the greatest challenges in life is not what happens to us, but how we choose to respond to it. Life is full of uncertainty, full of moments that can throw us off course. But the Stoic knows that the only thing they can control is their response to those moments. And this is the key to true strength. In Stoic philosophy, we are taught that the external world is beyond our control. We cannot control the actions of others. We cannot control the events that unfold. We cannot control the circumstances of our birth, the environment we grew up in, or the challenges we face along the way. But we can control how we respond to all of these things. And this, the Stoic understands, is where true power lies. When you embrace the idea that you cannot control everything, you stop wasting energy on things that don't matter. You stop reacting to things that are beyond your control, and you focus on what you can change: your thoughts, your actions, your mindset. And by mastering these, you begin to master your life. This is the essence of Stoic philosophy, the belief that we are the masters of our own response. When the world pushes us, when we face setbacks or challenges, the Stoic does not bend under the weight of it. They remain steady. They act with purpose. They respond with clarity. When faced with adversity, the Stoic does not complain. They do not resist. They do not fight against the reality of the situation. Instead, they accept the situation as it is and choose how they will respond. This is not passive acceptance, but active engagement. It is a choice to take responsibility for how you react, regardless of the circumstances. It is a choice to remain true to your values, even when the world tempts you to act otherwise. It is a choice to act with wisdom instead of being swept away by emotion. When you choose this path, you stop being a victim of your circumstances. You stop blaming the world for your struggles. You stop waiting for things to change, and you start creating the change within yourself. True strength does not come from avoiding difficulty. It comes from facing it head-on, with grace, with purpose, and with the belief that you have the power to handle whatever comes your way. The Stoic does not seek to control the outcome of every situation. They focus on controlling their actions, their mindset, and their response. They know that in every moment, they have the choice to act with integrity, to stay grounded in their values, and to approach challenges with a calm mind. The power of Stoic philosophy lies in this: when you take responsibility for your response to the world, you take responsibility for your life. You stop being a passenger, and you become the driver. You steer your own course no matter how turbulent the road may seem. So the next time life challenges you, the next time something happens that is beyond your control, remember this: you may not be able to control the situation, but you can always control how you respond. And this is where your true strength lies. Success, in the Stoic sense, is not about avoiding obstacles, but about how you handle them. It is about your ability to remain grounded, your ability to stay focused on what you can control, and your ability to move forward, no matter how difficult the journey may seem. There is a quiet power in living with discipline, not the kind of discipline that seeks to impress others, but the kind that is rooted deep within you. The discipline that comes from knowing who you are, what you value, and what kind of life you want to build. In Stoic philosophy, discipline is not a punishment, it is a path to freedom, because the disciplined mind is not a slave to impulse. It is not controlled by emotions. It is not distracted by every temptation. It knows what matters and it acts accordingly. Discipline is not about rigidity. It is not about forcing yourself through life. It is about choosing consistency over chaos. It is about choosing your higher self over your immediate cravings. The Stoic wakes up with intention. They know that every day is a test of their values, their resilience, their ability to remain calm and clear-minded in a world that is constantly shifting. And so they prepare, not with fear, but with quiet strength. They do not let the world dictate their schedule. They do not let others dictate their priorities. They choose what matters, and they commit to it. This is the power of daily rituals, not because they are glamorous, but because they are grounding. You build your life by the things you choose to do every day, not once in a while, not when you feel like it, but every single day. The Stoic knows this, and so they create structure. They wake with purpose, they practice reflection, they seek wisdom, not noise. They prioritize action, not excuses. And over time, this discipline compounds. It becomes identity. It becomes strength. It becomes the quiet confidence that no matter what happens, you will not be moved. You will not be shaken, because you know who you are and what you stand for. Many people look for motivation. They wait for inspiration to strike. But the Stoic doesn't wait. They understand that motivation is fleeting, but discipline is reliable. You don't need to feel like doing something to do it. You need only to remember why it matters. And to act accordingly. Every time you follow through on a commitment, every time you resist the urge to quit, every time you choose action over distraction, you strengthen your character. You build a deeper trust with yourself. You show yourself that you are capable of following through. And that self-trust becomes a foundation for everything else. This is why the Stoic invests in their habits. Not for the sake of perfection, but for the sake of alignment. They want their actions to match their values, their words to match their character, their days to match their vision. And when you live this way, you no longer need to chase success. Because success becomes a byproduct of who you are. It is not something outside of you. It is something that flows from within you. Discipline allows you to stay steady in the storm. It allows you to stay focused when others are distracted. It allows you to keep showing up long after others have given up. So if you want to change your life, don't start by changing everything at once. Start by honoring your word to yourself. Start by doing the things you said you would do. Start by being the person who no longer needs to be pushed because they are pulled by a deeper purpose. This is the Stoic way. A life of calm action. A life of quiet strength. A life of disciplined freedom. You do not need to shout to be heard. You do not need to prove your worth to the world. The Stoic understands that true strength is quiet. It is not loud. It is not boastful. It is still. It is grounded. It is unwavering. This is one of the great lessons of Stoic philosophy, that the most powerful person in the room is often the one who says the least. Not because they have nothing to say, but because they do not need to say it. They have mastered the art of inner validation. They do not seek permission to be who they are. They do not seek attention to feel valuable. They walk their path with quiet resolve, and the world feels that presence long before a word is spoken. There is a kind of confidence that is not built on applause, but on self-respect. It is not reactive to praise, nor shaken by criticism. It is built slowly, through daily acts of self-discipline, through the repeated choice to honor one's own word. The Stoic does not rise and fall with the opinions of others. They do not hand their peace over to every passing comment or judgment. They have chosen a higher standard, to live for something greater than public approval. Because when your sense of worth is determined by others, you will never be free. You will live a life of performance, always chasing the next compliment, always fearing the next rejection. But the Stoic steps off that stage. They return to the stillness. They return to the inner life, where clarity resides, where strength is not performed, but lived. When you live this way, you no longer need to convince the world of your value. You embody it in your actions, in your choices, in the way you carry yourself, even in the way you listen. There is a deep respect that is given to those who do not demand it. It is earned not through show, but through steadiness, through presence, through restraint. The Stoic knows that silence is often more powerful than speech. That patience is stronger than urgency. That humility is mightier than ego. And so they do not rush to answer. They do not rush to prove. They allow time to work for them. They allow actions to speak louder than words. This is not weakness. This is not passivity. It is mastery. It is choosing not to be reactive. It is choosing to be thoughtful, measured, wise. In a world that rewards noise, the Stoic chooses clarity. In a world that rewards attention, the Stoic chooses intention. And over time, this quiet strength becomes undeniable. Because it does not need to be defended. It stands on its own. You will know this power when you stop needing to be right and start needing to be aligned. When you stop chasing recognition and start building integrity. And when you reach that point, the world may not understand you, but you will understand yourself. And that is all that matters. One of the most liberating realizations you will ever have is that you do not need to explain yourself to everyone. You do not need to justify your path. You do not need to convince others to understand your purpose. Because the Stoic knows that understanding is not owed, and peace does not require permission. The more you grow, the less you feel the need to be seen. The deeper your self-respect becomes, the less you are shaken by the misunderstanding of others. You begin to realize that much of what others see in you is filtered through the lens of their own fears, their own insecurities, their own limitations. And that has nothing to do with you. This is a core principle of Stoic philosophy. To separate what belongs to you from what does not. To own your thoughts, your choices, your values, and to release everything else. Because most of the weight you carry is not yours to hold. You are not responsible for how others interpret your silence. You are not responsible for how they perceive your confidence. You are not responsible for the stories they create in their minds. You are only responsible for your intention, for your actions, for the way you show up in the world. And that is enough. When you live aligned with your values, when you make decisions rooted in integrity, you no longer seek to explain or defend. You simply continue forward, calmly, quietly, unmoved. You will not win everyone's approval, and you are not meant to. Your path is not theirs to walk. Your vision is not theirs to see, and your peace is not theirs to understand. The Stoic does not speak louder just to be heard. They do not repeat themselves to feel validated. They speak when it is necessary. They act when it is time. They choose their words with care and their silence with wisdom. Because silence is not weakness. It is strength held in stillness. It is knowing that your truth does not require constant performance. The world around you may clamor for attention. It may pull you toward argument, toward defense, toward proving something. But the Stoic resists the noise, not by fighting it, but by rising above it. They understand that the most powerful statement is sometimes the one left unsaid, that the most confident person in the room is not always the one doing the most talking, but the one who is most anchored within. This anchoring is what gives rise to resilience, not the kind of resilience that is rigid, but the kind that bends with grace, the kind that walks away when others chase conflict, the kind that smiles, not out of arrogance, but out of quiet understanding. So the next time you feel misunderstood, resist the urge to explain yourself. Ask instead, am I acting with integrity? Am I aligned with my principles? Am I at peace with my choice? If the answer is yes, then continue. Let them misunderstand you. Let them gossip, judge, and speculate. Let the world do what it will. And you? You remain still. You remain true. You remain on your path. This is the Stoic way, to let go of what is not yours, to return to the only thing you truly own, yourself. The more you grow in silence, the less you seek noise. The deeper your awareness becomes, the less you are interested in distractions. This is not isolation, it is elevation. The Stoic learns over time that peace is not found in the crowd. It is found in solitude, not in loneliness, but in stillness, in the moments where nothing external is demanding your attention, in the moments where you are free to sit with your thoughts, to examine them, to understand them, to choose them intentionally. This is one of the most powerful practices in Stoic philosophy, to make time for reflection, to pause long enough to hear your own voice beneath the noise of the world. The Stoic knows that most of the suffering people experience comes not from events themselves, but from their inability to slow down and think clearly, from their tendency to react instead of reflect, to rush forward instead of remain still. But clarity is born in stillness. Wisdom is revealed in quiet, and strength is built not in resistance but in understanding. When you take time to be still, you create space between stimulus and response, and in that space, you rediscover your freedom. You are not your first emotion. You are not your first impulse. You are the one who chooses what to do with it. The Stoic reflects daily. They do not wait for crisis to evaluate life. They review their thoughts, their actions, their intentions, not to judge themselves harshly, but to refine, to improve, to elevate. This process is quiet. It is personal. It is invisible to others, but over time it becomes your greatest source of strength. Because while others are lost in distraction, you are sharpening your awareness. While others are consumed by comparison, you are cultivating clarity. While others are busy reacting, you are choosing, and choice is the birthplace of power. You cannot master what you do not observe. You cannot change what you refuse to face. So the Stoic faces it. They sit in the quiet, and they look within. What thoughts are shaping my life right now? What patterns do I keep repeating? What fears am I allowing to make my decisions? These are the questions that require courage to ask. But the Stoic is not afraid of facing themselves, because they know that all progress begins there, not in the world outside, but in the mirror. The Stoic does not seek perfection, they seek awareness. They know that awareness leads to wisdom, and wisdom leads to strength, so they keep returning to stillness, to solitude, not to escape the world, but to be strong enough to move through it with grace. When the world is loud, return to silence. When your mind is cluttered, return to breath. When your path feels unclear, return to values. This is not retreat. This is preparation. Because the Stoic does not live to escape life. They live to meet life with full presence. And that presence is only possible when the mind is clear. So take time to sit. Take time to breathe. Take time to reflect. Not once in a while, but every day. Because in that stillness, you will hear something powerful. You will hear the quiet voice within you that knows exactly who you are and exactly what you are capable of becoming. There is a quiet strength in letting go, not in giving up, but in releasing what you were never meant to carry. The Stoic understands that peace is not achieved through control. It is achieved through clarity. And clarity often comes when we no longer cling to what we cannot change. Stoic philosophy teaches us to focus only on what is within our power, not because it is easy, but because it is wise. The more energy you spend trying to control the uncontrollable, the more exhausted you become. The more frustrated, the more reactive, the more powerless you feel. But when you step back, when you narrow your attention to what is truly yours, something changes. You begin to feel lighter. You begin to feel grounded. You begin to walk through life not with the heaviness of resistance but with the grace of alignment. Most people hold on too tightly. They grip outcomes. They grip relationships. They grip identities that no longer serve them. But the Stoic knows that the more you cling, the more you suffer, and the more you release, the more space you create for wisdom, for peace, for power. You cannot control what others think. You cannot control how long something lasts. You cannot control how the world responds to your choices, but you can control how you respond. You can control the meaning you give to things. You can control the actions you take, the values you live by, the mindset you choose to carry, and that is enough. The Stoic does not expect life to cooperate. They do not expect things to go their way. They prepare for adversity. They expect challenge. But they meet it not with bitterness, not with fear, but with readiness, with composure, with quiet resolve. They let go of the fantasy that things should always be fair. They let go of the illusion that comfort is owed. And by letting go of these expectations, they free themselves to meet life exactly as it is. There is nothing more powerful than a person who is not disturbed by the chaos around them, because they have made peace within themselves. And this peace is not given, it is earned through daily practice, through the hard work of self-reflection, through the courage it takes to let go of resentment, of control, of attachment to things outside your reach. You don't need to control life to enjoy it. You don't need to force outcomes to feel fulfilled. You only need to show up fully present, fully grounded, fully responsible for who you are. Let go of the things that no longer belong to you. Let go of the arguments that steal your calm. Let go of the fears that were never yours to carry. Let go of the narratives that say you must always be in control. And return. Return to what is yours. Your thoughts, your actions, your presence, your values. Return to the space within, where peace cannot be shaken, because it is not dependent on anything that can be taken. This is what it means to live with true strength. Not to hold tightly, but to live lightly. To carry only what is yours. To let go of what is not, and to walk forward with grace. One of the rarest things in the world is a person who knows how to endure quietly. Not in silence because they are weak, but in silence because they are strong. Because they understand that endurance is not about showing how much you can suffer. It's about carrying your weight with grace. It's about choosing dignity even when life feels unfair. It's about not needing to make noise to prove that you are still standing. Stoic philosophy holds this truth at its core. That strength is not loud. It is not reaction. It is not aggression. True strength is restraint. True strength is choosing not to respond when provoked. Not because you cannot, but because you have mastered yourself. The Stoic does not seek revenge. They do not seek to hurt those who hurt them. They rise above it, not for show but for self-respect, because they know that to descend into vengeance is to become the very thing they oppose. And nothing is worth losing your character. Your power lies in your ability to remain composed when everything around you invites chaos. When someone insults you, you do not need to return the blow. When someone misunderstands you, you do not need to correct every perception. When someone betrays you, you do not need to lose yourself, trying to make sense of their choices. You rise. You protect your peace. You continue your path. The Stoic does not waste energy trying to change others. They invest energy in changing themselves, because they know that to master life is to master self. And that begins with restraint. Restraint from impulsive reaction. Restraint from emotional outbursts. Restraint from the need to win every argument. The disciplined mind is not easily pulled. It does not rush to speak. It does not rush to fight. It waits. It thinks. It chooses. And this choice is where freedom lives. Because when you can be provoked, but choose calm, you are free. When you can be wounded but choose compassion, you are powerful. When you can be surrounded by noise but remain inwardly still, you are unshakable. Do not mistake quiet for weakness. Do not mistake patience for passivity. It takes immense inner strength to endure with grace. It takes a powerful mind to choose peace when anger is easier. It takes a person of great depth to let go when pride says hold on, and the Stoic chooses this path. Not because it is easy, but because it is right. Because nothing is more valuable than maintaining one's integrity. So, the next time you are tempted to react, to strike back, to prove a point, pause. Ask yourself, what will I gain? What will I lose? And most importantly, who will I become if I choose this path? The Stoic always returns to this question, who am I becoming? By the way I choose to respond. And that question is the compass. That question is the path. That question is the foundation of a life lived with strength, with character, with meaning. In the end, the question is not whether life will challenge you. It will. The question is not whether people will misunderstand you. They will. The question is not whether setbacks will come or whether the path will sometimes feel uncertain. They will, and it will. The only question worth asking is this: how will you show up for it? Stoic philosophy does not promise an easy life. It promises a meaningful one. It does not offer shortcuts. It offers strength. It offers clarity. It offers a way to walk through the world without losing yourself in it. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to be steady. You are here to live with intention, to move through life with purpose, to rise each day and say, no matter what comes, I will respond with calm. I will act with integrity. I will choose the higher road even when no one is watching. And that choice, repeated day after day, becomes the life you build. Not the life shaped by what happens to you, but by what you become in response. A life that is not reactive, but reflective. Not grasping, but grounded. Not boastful, but quietly confident in its depth. This is what it means to live stoically. To know that peace is not the absence of hardship, but the presence of wisdom. To know that freedom is not doing whatever you want, but having the discipline to do what is right. To know that success is not measured by applause, but by alignment. With your values, your principles, your inner truth, the Stoic builds this life in silence, not seeking attention, but seeking mastery, not performing for the world, but preparing for it. And when the time comes, when they are tested, when they are challenged, when they are tempted, they do not collapse. They stand. They respond. They endure. Not with resistance, but with wisdom. Not with force, but with clarity. Not with fear, but with deep-rooted calm. This is what makes the Stoic unshakable. Not because life gets easier, but because they become stronger. Not because the world changes, but because they have changed. They have trained their mind to meet anything with grace. And so they no longer wait for the world to be safe. They become safe within themselves. They no longer seek certainty in the future. They build certainty in the present, through their choices, through their character, through their discipline. This is the quiet triumph of a Stoic life. It is not loud. It is not glamorous, but it is free, it is steady, it is deeply alive. So if you walk this path, walk it not for recognition, but for transformation. Walk it not to escape the world, but to meet it fully, with an untroubled mind and an unshaken heart. Because once you learn that nothing outside of you controls your peace, you will have discovered the most powerful truth of all. You already have everything you need to live a good life, not out there, but in here, right now, right where you are, in the choices you make, in the mind you train, in the discipline you honor, and in the values you carry forward. No matter what. This is Stoic philosophy. Not a theory, but a way to live, a way to become, a way to rise silently, powerfully, every single day.